Hi, folks. I'm Don Meissner, and I'm actually down here at the Massena intake. And I was here for another reason. We're talking about our big FLW event that's coming here to Massena this week. But while I was here before I left, I thought, I want to look at a couple lures I just bought. I want to see what they look like in the water. And maybe this would be a good opportunity to show some of this to you. Now, this is one of the baits that I love to use. You're not going to be able to use this out in strong, deep current or anything, but it's a fabulous bait to use on some of our smaller streams. And this is called it's made by Northland Tackle. They're out of Minnesota, I believe, or Wisconsin. But it's a little minnow. It's called a mimic minnow, and I've attached a little hairpin spinner type affair with it. And I want you to see what this does, because the minnow on its own will swim through the water, hopefully like a real fish. But when you add this little spinner attachment, it gives flash and vibration, and is attracting fish now, not only because they see a minnow swimming, but they hear a noise and they see a flash, and it just sometimes will incite a strike. So let me show you what this looks like in the water, because I'll bet you a lot of you have never used something like this. So let's look at it, and I'll just show you what it swims like as we look at it in the water. As you see, that paddle tail goes back and forth, wiggles, the spinner is spinning, and when the fish strikes, normally they're going to strike that minnow. I don't know what they think the spinner is. I don't think they care. But this becomes a really amazing bait. And because there's a spinner, I want to tell you one other thing. Whenever you're using anything that spins, it's going to spin your line as well. And so what I use is a ball bearing swivel. And they make different swivels. They make chain swivels. They make them using different materials. But ball bearings are the best. They're the most expensive, and they're the best. And there's different grades of bearings that go into them. But by using a ball bearing swivel, it absorbs the spinning of this, and it's not transferred into your line. Because once your line twists, it's going to tangle. It's going to give you so much problems that you won't enjoy fishing as much, and it might break your line. So that was my first attempt. Now what I want to do is experiment and see how another lure that wasn't designed for this would work with this type of approach. In other words, when I put this other lure on, is it going to swim naturally? Is it going to look like something good? Or is it just going to roll and not be effective as a bait that you want to use to catch fish? So let's see what happens. When I finally got this through the hole, I had to take a hook, because when they dip these jig heads, the plastic sealed on the little opening, and I had to break the opening open. So now let's see. This is something I'm creating. I'm taking a different body and utilizing the same thing, and I want to see how it swims. Now remember, if I didn't have this jig head on here, this would float. This bait would float because of the type of plastic. But now I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to see what this looks like in the water. Oh, it looks good. It looks excellent. See, one of the things that I'm concerned with whenever you do this is you want to make sure that this is the back of the minnow. In other words, a minnow naturally isn't all one color. And usually the backs are darker than the bellies. The bellies are light colored. And so you want this to go through the water with this dark back upwards and swimming straight. You don't want it rolling on its side or spinning. You want it to stay swimming straight. And this little paddle tail will help in making it look real, because again, it just, it's a fish naturally in the water doesn't swim with a lot of action. It's like anything else in nature. It has to be pretty much free. So now let me show you how I would fish this. I would cast, if I was, and I don't think I'm going to catch one here at the dock, but I cast it out, I let it sink a little, and then I start to reel it. And if the spinner is spinning, you'll feel it through the line, and you'll see the rod tip bending a bit, because it should pulsate a bit. Now, the bigger the spinner you use, the more it's going to pulsate, the more resistance. But as I bring this in, all I'm doing is reeling it straight. Should be coming in here soon. And there it comes. You see it's down farther in the water column. I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to show you something a little different. You, the angler, as you're using the reel and the rod, you can make that lure do things more than just its wiggle, more than just the flash. So what I do a lot of times is I'll change the speed. I'll be reeling like this, then I'll let it fall. Then I'll start to reel it a little quicker. That change in speed, change in motion, sometimes if the fish is following, it'll just keep following and looking. But when it changes, when it starts to fall or it speeds up, a lot of times that will trigger strikes. And that's a lot of times how I fish. You know, one of the ways that I love to fish is by jigging. What jigging means is you're jigging the rod up and down. And that's always something that I believe in. Another person might be just as effective using just a straight retrieve. And here's really the key to all of that. So much of the success in fishing is confidence. It's confidence in the method that you use, the place that you choose to fish, and also the lure that you choose to fish with. And if you have confidence, you're going to fish that differently. It's no different than anything. Anything else is confidence makes a difference in life. And these top fishermen, these pros that are coming here, every single cast they make all day long, they have confidence that that's going to catch a fish. If they didn't have that, they wouldn't be the champions they are. They couldn't be. So you can never let up, and that's easier said than done. I know when I first start the day, my first cast, I am sure I'm going to get a strike. By the 100th cast, I'm like, oh. And that's when I get the strike, and that's when I'm not ready. So remember, the more confident you can be in your ability, your choice of waters and lures, I think the better fisherman you're going to become.